wall.
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for June the 4th, 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster, and here with me, as always, is...
CJ Carter. You know me, you love me. Today I'm rocking the good old-fashioned John camera, and I'm looking forward to talking about NXT, and looking forward to being back with Tyler as always.
Right on. And before we hop into tonight's main event segment, I want to give a shout out to our partner on the web, comicbookclick.com, comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio for all your comic book, pop culture, and comic book needs. Wrestling needs. Check it out. Make it your homepage. Check it out multiple times a day like we do, not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love to do it. But that aside, let's go ahead and talk about tonight's main event segment. Not really a match, but we had the potential contract signing of All Ego Ethan Page. That was one of the major stories tonight as to whether or not he would sign with the developmental brand and what the terms of that contract would be. And pretty big contract there, pretty big get. But CJ, man, what'd you think of this segment and how everything unfolded and what that contract ended up doing for Ethan Page?
Well, I mean, I'm a little confused as far as what Ava's real motivation was to not give Ethan Page what he wanted if all he wanted was a title match. Like, unless we're talking about, even further shenanigans in the fine print, but I can't imagine that would be her biggest sticking point. That's what it seemed to me anyways when she's like, "Oh, I can't sign it." And then Ethan Page spills the beans. I mean, we knew this was where it was headed anyways, so I don't know, it just made it feel like a bigger deal than it was. But what I will say on Ethan Page, like, him being in NXT is a massive get, and he proved that just on the mic tonight. Anytime that he, addressed the audience, like, it felt like he was just flying by the seat of his pants. No one was writing a script for him. And that kind of mentality, being able to teach that in NXT would be huge. And if Ethan Page is able to do that, everyone is going to look like $1 million.
Oh yeah, absolutely agreed. He absolutely smoked it on the microphone tonight. Now on the contract, this kind of hops a little bit earlier into the night when they showed Mr. Stone reading over the contract and getting all kind of cartoony, bug-eyed about it. I kind of assumed there was a high dollar amount attached to it as well. That could be something that going forward he could even tout like I'm the highest paid NXT wrestler of all time, or something to that.
Or just like some outlandish perks. Like, I remember Brock Lesnar wanting to be like the only superstar in the Raw intro. Like, and I remember the week that they actually did it, and I was like, honestly, not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I still think Ethan Page, like, if he's asking for an outlandish dollar amount, then at least say what the dollar amount is. If he's asking for a private dressing room, if he's asking for this, that, and the other, at least tell us.
Yeah, just lay it out. Like, if he's going to, do the full David Lee Roth kind of thing here, just go with it. I want to know, does he want a bowl of nothing but green M&Ms back there? Like, just go full tilt with it. But the contract is signed, and the contract does make official for this Sunday night. All Ego Ethan Page taking on Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. Don't expect Trick to lose this. I would think they would continue with Trick's reign here, but I mean, crazier stuff has happened in NXT. But CJ, what do you think they're going to do Sunday night?
I think there's going to be further story that is going to have to happen in order to finish this match. Like, I don't see Trick Williams losing the match, but I also don't see Ethan Page losing clean. In his first match, it's an NXT championship match. It feels like they are going to want to make Ethan Page a big deal and keep him there. So there's going to have to be something at play to cost Ethan Page this match. And if that sends him down a different path away from the NXT championship, but still still doing something productive and meaningful, then I think that would be the best route to go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, it was a great promo from start to finish. I do, when she improves, I want to say it. Ava, week by week, is getting better out there. I do wish she would do something different with her wardrobe. I'm not one to talk about clothing. However, she again is dressed like one of J-Lo's backup dancers circa 2004, 2005. So I'm just saying, like,
but does it give off vibes of like unprofessionalism? Like, I mean, Stephanie McMahon would come out and you knew she was an executive because of how she dressed, but also NXT being that sort of hip, more modern,
more laid back,
of course they would of course want to give off that sort of vibe of she's an authority figure, but she's a modern authority figure.
Yeah,
She's
but
one of the cool ones.
I don't know. That almost comes across as like, I'm not like other moms, kids. I'm one of the cool moms. Here's a wine cooler. Like, it's like that's what's in her cargo pants. It's wine coolers for Hickenbottom High.
Honestly, if that's what she was carrying around in those cargos, like NXT on the CW is gonna be so friggin' amazing.
It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be so great.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to say lit. Like that was the word that popped into my head, and I was like, "Don't say lit. Don't say lit."
No, it's been long enough now that I think we can use it. I was actually just talking about that earlier today. How like lit was one of those words that I started using in a just ironic sense. And then eventually it just became kind of part of my vernacular. Same thing with, Booker T's, oh yeah, man's, I like it. Like I started doing that just to be obnoxious and joke around, and now I'm just doing it. It's awful. I need to stop.
I hate that about you. And honestly, it kind of makes me want to back out of our level up adventure.
Oh
no, just kidding. I am super looking forward to this. What did we say? June 23rd?
Yeah. On June 23rd is going to be the premiere episode of the level up NXT adventure. That's Sunday, June 23rd. So,
I'm excited for that.
It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. A lot of fun. But back to tonight's NXT. CG, anything else on tonight's closing segment, or shall we hop around to the beginning of the show?
I was kind of surprised that it didn't end physically. I mean, Trick Williams was chomping at the bit to get his hands on Ethan Page. And I was expecting the second that he signed that contract, Trick was going to jump him. And we were going to see, this was the go-home show, right? Like, Battleground is this Sunday.
And we're days away.
And that's what we go off on. So
I agree that it was
some momentum heading into this event.
I can agree that there was a bit of an anticlimactic feel to that. However, it does show some restraint and discipline to keep them, physically apart, short of the attack last week. But yeah, it didn't. I don't know. I guess you can say it's the proper and more stalwart thing to do for Trick to not attack him there, but I don't really know how that makes Trick look either. Not kind of trying to get his
comeuppance. Like a weak champion. But it doesn't make him look weak, but it doesn't really do anything to make him look strong either.
Right. Yeah, it was an interesting decision, but it's keeping them separate there. I can see the benefit of it, but I do also see the other edge there. But I'm interested to see what kind of what the match is like Sunday.
Like I said, I'm expecting something that's going to be very story driven of a finish. So I have no idea what to expect really, other than both these guys are going to give us a hell of a match.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. It's going to be it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good show from start to finish. And we'll talk about the card as we go on through the night here. But looking forward to it for sure. But hey, we'll hop around here. Speaking of Ethan Page, we'll hop around to the start of the show here. It did open with a earlier today segment. Ethan Page arriving in style to the Performance Center, met out front by Ava, Mr. Stone, and a small cavalcade of security personnel. And he was then taken inside to discuss his contract, which we found out most of what was in there.
You think the parking lot would be a safer place if people weren't just parking their cars wherever the hell they wanted?
Right, he did just kind of stop there, and it's not like there was a valet or something. He just that parking lot's really dangerous. We've talked about this before. It's a non-safe work environment. You don't want to be in that parking lot, especially after the sun goes down. It's just dangerous.
Well, I mean, clearly Ethan Page didn't want to be there. He didn't take the time to park.
Yeah, well, and he also got there earlier in the day. He knew damn well to get there as early as possible because the later it gets, the more dangerous that parking lot becomes. Yeah, did he even turn off the car? Did he just leave it running?
He might have just left it running, which, again, burning fuel, like, that's not good for the environment either, Ethan Page.
He is a heel. He is a heel. But, leaving cars like that
He's
running...
Canadian.
Oh, shit! You're right. It's...
Like, you can only be so much of a dick. Like, be a heel or be an environmental strain. Like, you shouldn't be both. Like, if you can't be a good person, at least treat the environment with respect. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what? This is probably just building to a future match between Ethan Page and the Lorax.
God's second match ever.
Oh, fantastic.
That's honestly what I thought you were going to say, like Ethan Page against God.
No, I was going with the Lorax, which Lorax, while having magical imbued powers, I don't think the Lorax is like some sort of like, nature deity or anything. I think he's just got some strength there.
Some meme along the lines of, I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees. If you don't recycle, I'll break your fucking knees or something like that.
Exactly. See, it fits in. The Lorax can wrestle. He's about Taz's height, right?
I was gonna say Danny DeVito.
Oh man, God, I don't know who this is being most cruel.
The trash man.
All right.
Let's talk NXT.
But yeah, so we had a quick recap of the events of last week, and then open into our opening bout tonight. We had Jordynne Grace, TNA Knockouts champion, taking on Stevie Turner. Obviously, Jordynne Grace picks up the win here in just over 3 minutes via a juggernaut driver. This was really just here to show the NXT audience who perhaps hadn't really seen Jordynne Grace work very much, just kind of designed to give them a quick overview of what she's capable of and, kind of what she's about in the ring. And then we did also have a little Tuesday Night Rocks. There had Roxanne Perez on commentary. CJ, what do you think of the opening match here tonight and how this made Jordynne look?
Honestly, the match lasted about twice as long as I thought it was going to. I knew it was just going to be a chance for Jordynne Grace to showcase in front of the NXT crowd. That's half the reason why I thought they were going to make it a quicker squash of Stevie Turner. She did get a lot of showcasing in that 3 minutes, though, so it's probably better that they gave her the time and didn't cut it too short. Roxanne on commentary, I definitely see the improvement as far as her promo delivery goes. This was a great opportunity to build some character for her, and even after the match, when she gets back into the ring and she shoves Jordynne Grace, like, that was surprising to me, just from the sense of, like, I wasn't expecting her to not take the chicken shit route. Like, it feels like they're toughening her up, and I think against Jordynne Grace, and I mean, we'll talk about Battleground later, but I think this definitely gives her a little bit of a, like, maybe it's not a foregone conclusion that Jordynne Grace is going to win on Sunday.
I mean, I think what you're saying about this making Roxanne looks stronger in the presentation here, shoving Jordynne. And also on commentary, she got really, really offended when they implied that she's physically weaker than Jordynne, which obviously she is.
Mhm.
Smaller, not nearly as built, but she seemed to really take umbrage with that. So maybe they are going to use this to kind of light that, aggressive fire, make her look tougher. It takes certain opponents for wrestlers to get them there. Shawn Michaels talked about it, decades ago now, but his match with Mick Foley, Mankind, at the Mind Games pay-per-view, Shawn said that changed the perception of him for a lot of people. It made him look tougher. He wasn't just, a pretty boy world champion. He was someone that could take a lot of abuse and dish it out too. And so maybe that is what they're going for here with Roxanne. Still though, I'm not sure who's going to win that match Sunday. I can see it going either way for a myriad of reasons. I'm looking forward to it. Which hell, that's great. That's a great thing to have. I don't know who's going to win. I think I'd be happy either way. But
I'm trying to think of, because we were talking about it in our NXT group chat earlier, the downside for Jordynne Grace winning or losing feels like a bigger downside than Roxanne losing. I know the argument was made that she could stand to lose more than Jordynne Grace would, but at the same time, I feel like if Jordynne Grace was going to win, they would have had the match be winner take all. Just to give the stipulation a little bit more. It's impactful enough as it is, no pun intended, that the TNA Knockouts champion is showing up in NXT. But why has Roxanne Perez allowed her title to be the only one on the line? So it makes sense that this Roxanne that we saw on commentary feels like she'd be the kind to say, no, I want to have the shot at her title as well.
Right. Well, and Jordynne Grace does have an open challenge coming up.
That feels like we're gonna delve into the why when it's a little bit more relevant. But spoiler alert, I think that is going to be oh my god, and I am blanking. Tatum Paxley.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that segment in a little bit here, but yeah, there's reason, we have reason to believe that they may be going that direction with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a good quick showcase for Jordynne Grace, and again, really looking forward to her match with Roxanne Perez this Sunday night. But that's going to cut us to outside the arena, where we saw NXT champion Trick Williams talking to Lash Legend, and my heart's breaking, man. My heart's breaking. Lash said whatever was between them it's over. It's done. And
that'll make it real awkward when the baby's born then.
Oh, what a twist.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Was I not muted? My bad. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, even in the main event segment, they were chanting Trick's the daddy, right? So
right.
It, just kind of fueling that fire a little bit. What did we think of Trick's response? He definitely played it cool and just do what you got to do, but are we gonna see this might be the story progression that that I was thinking that would lead to Trick winning, is if once we're past the match, the women's North American title match, she may cost Ethan Page the main event. They get back together.
Absolutely possible. Absolutely. I mean, it could just be a sort of a red herring of sorts. I mean, maybe that's part of the plan. I don't know. It seemed like an abrupt ending to an angle that was going pretty well and a lot of people were getting behind. And Shawn and NXT in general, Hunter too, they don't seem too apt to just drop something if it's over. if it's going well. They want to kind of keep it weaving and going, and they've done that with storylines across the board. It's going well, so clearly they keep it going longer than you thought they would have initially. But we'll see what happens going forward. All right, so moving on from.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was back in the chat. I was just typing a message to John, being like, "Hey, put me back in, please." But I had to open another browser for that. But anyways, yeah, I very excited to see what they do on Sunday for sure.
But all right, so moving on from there, let's see here. I kind of left my. We had Shawn Spears hanging out backstage with a group of rookies back there, trying to impart wisdom that no one asked him to impart.
Is that Javier Bernal in the ring? Did he grow out his hair?
I do believe you're right. I think so. Like the only one I really recognized just immediately was Wes, or not Wes. Sorry,
Well, and Javon Evans.
Javon, yeah, Javon. Sorry, I gotta quit. I gotta quit reading when I'm talking. Oh my
Tyler
god!
can't multitask. It's okay. We get.
I guess not that much. I guess, but yeah, he's back there trying to impart some wisdom that no one actually asked for him to impart, and he is approached by Joshua, who quickly corrected him to Josh Briggs. I kind of dug that. I would like that to be a small character flourish for Shawn Spears going forward. That he just calls everyone by their the fullest version of their name possible.
I like to think he'd just start calling everyone Joshua.
There you go. That's it. That's the ultimate heel move. Calling everybody Joshua.
Whether your name's Josh or not, you're getting Joshua.
You're Joshua. It's like, what? No. But he's approached by.
I don't know if I'm picking up what he's putting down. Like, I've given it time. Well, I mean, we'll get into it, but right now I'm talking about Shawn Spears. It feels like he just, I don't know if he's coming across as just not really invested, or if that's just an aloofness that goes with his character, but I don't dig it. Like, I think they had gold with even just bringing the character of the chairman to NXT, and he's on this weird Bray Wyatt meets Joe Gacy sort of character, and I'm not here for it.
It's almost like they have the archetype of the spooky, deranged cult leader character for NXT. It's and they have to fill it, and they always have to have that character
There's
filled.
A quota.
And it's we have to do this, and it's well, and it was the weird, creepy kind of culty guy still was Joe Gacy, and then he's been called up to the main roster, so they had to do something. But yeah, I'm with you, man. It's not clicking for me. I've said this before. I'm not historically a Shawn Spears guy. But it's not working for me either, and I don't know. And I thought maybe that was just because I don't really like the dude all that much to begin with, but it sounds like it's just not working. Which makes
I mean, I could be wrong. I could be out of touch. No, it's not the kids who are wrong. It's me. I could be the vocal minority and just not into it. And that's fine too. So don't fucking come at me if you like Shawn Spears' current character. All I'm saying is
come at us all you want. We'll take the engagement, guys. It's fine.
Well, I'm fragile. No, just kidding. But I mean, yeah, I've cried on air. That's not the point. The point is, it's just not for me. And that actually brings up something that I was hoping to talk about this week, but we'll talk about it after the end, because you haven't said your piece on what you think about the promo itself, or the segment itself.
Oh, it's fine. Like I said, it's not clicking for me. the setup for, well, it ended up being kind of a setup for a setup for a setup was kind of the order this ended up going here with this. Because this was, looking like it was setting up a match with Josh Briggs, which we'll talk about why that didn't happen later tonight. But I thought it was fine. I think the characterization of Shawn Spears as a non-veteran veteran trying to give advice that no one wants, I think it could potentially work as a character. But it's just not clicking yet. I don't know. I don't know.
And I think part of the reason why it's not clicking with me is because we've just seen it so many times. Like, it doesn't feel like they're really breaking any new ground. If they do, I'll cop to it, but it doesn't feel like they're really treading any new ground.
Yeah, maybe, and that could very well be the core of the issue here. It's just, it is just kind of something, kind of a tracing of a tracing of a tracing. How many times can you copy the video cassette before the tracking's off? No one knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
Probably.
I do. I was born in the 90s.
Thank you.
There's still some knowledge rattling around in the cobwebby parts of my brain.
Did you guys do VHS in Canada, or was it Betamax?
Oh no, we did Betamax too, as far as I'm aware. That was definitely before my time. But yeah, no, we had a lot of VHSs growing up. I actually, my parents renovated their basement last year, and a large part of us getting ready for that, because I was helping with the renovation, was I had to message a friend of mine who has kids, and oh my god, Mac, that's not okay. Thank you for following it up with a nice compliment, but the learning tree Shawn Spears, you know what? I'll finish my story first. We had to give all those VHS tapes to a friend of mine that has 2 kids, just to get rid of shit.
Right.
So yeah, no, VHSs were definitely still a thing. The learning tree Shawn Spears, the learning tree gimmick right now feels more like another Jericho vanity project. And literally, this is coming from someone who lives within a like a couple hours drive from Winnipeg. Like, Chris Jericho is not the CJ in CJ Carter, I can tell you that. But like, I could drive down to the streets that Chris Jericho had named in his honor last year. It's just not clicking. The learning tree itself, a picture of Chris Jericho showing up on the NXT show only because of the learning tree. Thanks,
The
Mac.
learning tree.
But no, like, it's not working for Chris Jericho. It's not working for Shawn Spears. And I think, again, that's largely because they're not treading any new ground. They're not adding anything that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, agreed. But now, talking about kind of retreading ground that's been tread before, but in a well done way, we had the summit for the Women's North American Championship ladder match in the ring tonight. Booker T hosting, as typical for these sorts of segments. This went exactly how you would expect it to go, in that everyone kind of got to say their piece. And it eventually devolved into a violent brawl, setting up for a 6-woman tag later tonight. CJ, brother, what'd you think of this segment setting up for the ladder match this weekend?
Well, yeah. I mean, we literally just talked about not treading any new ground. We knew it was going to devolve into violence and chaos.
It's pro wrestling. Yeah. It's a go-home
That's
show. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. So, I mean, I wasn't super invested into, like, the overall premise, but there were some moments that really stood out to me. One of them being that they highlighted the importance of the number one coming out of the combine. They really, even with the tag team match later, it felt like they were really pushing for Sol Ruka to stand out as the most likely winner. And if they want to go the route of, you know, highlighting that importance of being number one in the combine, feels like this is going to be an annual thing.
Yeah.
So I think they use this opportunity to set up for more than just the match. Like coming out of this promo, who stood out to you as the most likely favorite?
I do agree. It felt like they, for the most part, were making Sol Ruka the focus here. I'd say maybe second to her, Michin got the most shine. But again, I think she's there more for that veteran recognition. But I felt like this was Sol's segment for the most part. As far as audience reaction, Jada gets such a good pop. But Sol was the focus here. And there were some good lines that came out. Jada saying to Lash, I didn't think you could think about anything but Big Trick. She got some good digs in too, but Sol got the most out of this. And so that being said,
like
do you think
like
she's a lock to win Sunday?
I do, like even last week I said Kalani or Jada, and I feel like they really made an effort to push Sol Ruka into the number one spot. And me, I am like the only one I simp for is Sol Ruka, and I haven't been showing her much love
It's true. You haven't.
since
You
she's
really
been
haven't.
back. But I think if they do give her the ball and tell her to run with it, I think she's gonna do some absolutely tremendous work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, if Sol Ruka is the inaugural NXT North American Women's Champion, who do you see as her first challenger?
Well, someone in this match. Like it has to be somebody that is a credible threat but can handle a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason in particular, I'm going to say not Jada Parker.
Okay.
She has a lot of momentum for sure, but if they're planning on a lengthy run or at least even a few defenses out of Sol Ruka's championship, they can't put Jada in that spot. She either has to win it from Sol or she just can't challenge until they're ready to put the title on her. Now, if we flip it around and say that Jada Parker is the first champion, I would say her first challenger could be Sol Ruka.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has that good momentum. A loss wouldn't damage her too much. And I think that because the chase is always the best part of any face number one contender, she's not going to lose as much momentum as Jada would being the heel.
Yeah, agreed. Now,
So who are your picks?
well, I think that just the way they were looking at it tonight, Sol is a lock. Now, Mac brought up there in the chat that the typical WWE system, if you get the pin going into the pay per view, you're not winning. And we'll talk about the match a little bit tonight, but Sol did pick up a win in that 6-woman tag. Spoiler alert, guys. But also, I think it was interesting that in that talking about who the potential challengers would be, Jada was on the face side.
Well, they didn't have a face or heel side. Like they shuffled them up
That is true. It was a little bit more of a wild
because of
card,
how
sort of.
things had gone. Yes, as far as the faces in the ring and the heels on the outside, because I think they had Kalani, Soul, and oh God, I'm blanking on her name because it was Fallon, Jada, and Lash on the outside. Oh, Michin, that's who it is.
Yeah, Michin, yeah.
In the ring, obviously the three faces standing tall. And then they just shuffled up the teams to make it a little bit more chaotic.
Right, but yeah, I think if Soul wins, I agree. Like Jada, I would want Jada to be an early challenger, but it'd be too early for her to lose that. That is, I could see them. I don't know, keeping Michin around a little bit longer down there, but again, I'm not sure. How hot I am on keeping non NXT talent at NXT for longer than need be.
Hello. I
Hey,
just
John.
had a quick update for you guys as you were live on the air. There actually was some physicality to end that segment. The main event segment of NXT tonight. It just happened as showing off the air. They filmed it for a digital exclusive. Aura Mensah took out Ethan Page with a pretty great spear. I can't play the video, unfortunately, because it's not a fan video. It's a WWE video. So I wanted it to be a fan video, but it's an official. Like, they filmed it and officially uploaded it to all their social media channels. So I expect an Ethan Page match possibly on the paper or next week on NXT.
I am definitely going to Twitter right now to check that out because I need to see this spear. This was another possible ending to the NXT title match was the rest of Metaphor getting involved, and whether they cost Trick the title or cost Ethan the title. I think that was the outcome anticipated for Battleground. Maybe they're still going to do that with oh my God, I'm blank. Noam Dar. They may go that route with it on Sunday, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good out for the conclusion of the match, because I mean, obviously the Metaphor has a score to settle with Paige. It's kind of heel on heel, but yeah, it would make complete sense for it to go that way. To kind of hop back real quick to the women's North American picture, if you have Soul winning, first challenger, Lash Legend, like that last gasp of Lash potentially being a heel. Maybe again, that kind of depends what happens with the main event. If Lash and Trick are aligned, it's too nebulous. It's too nebulous to say, CJ. It's cloudy.
That was actually going to be one of my other questions for you. Do we still consider Lash Legend a heel? Or do you think that this relationship with Trick Williams has pushed her over that line?
I think she's definitely leaning face. Her association with the Metaphor still gives her that heel route where it's like, maybe she could side with them. But I mean, hey, if we're taking that segment at its face value, she split it off with Trick tonight. But
now, in that screenshot, you don't see her, but Jakara Jackson's leaning up against the car in this segment, and we didn't mention during that segment either, like, how invested did it look like Jakara Jackson was in this relationship now that we know that it wasn't Trick Williams that attacked Oro and Noam?
I would assume just the revelation that it wasn't Trick, behind the attacks would have cleared the air with them towards him. I would think they really wouldn't have much of an issue with him after that.
Do you think the rest of Metaphor might turn face?
If they want to keep them together, that's the only way to do it.
I think they would have to get on board with Trick Williams dating Lash Legend. And I think if they go to Battleground and cost Ethan Page his title opportunity, then you can carry on with a feud with Ethan Page and Noam Dar, which again, with how much they've raised Metaphor's stock and of course Lash Legend in particular, but that feels like something that's at least more worthy of Ethan Page's time than Lexis King got with his feud with Von Wagner.
Yeah.
So, like it gives the fans that sort of happy feeling with Trick and Lash getting back together.
Right.
And I think if they really want to raise her stock even higher, she becomes that power it couple. She starts going after, if Roxanne retains against Jordynne Grace, a next great challenger would be Lash Legend. She doesn't need to go for the North American title. She can just go straight for the women's championship. That is a match that I would be super excited to see.
Oh, that'd be a fantastic direction to go. Absolutely fantastic. And before we hop out of the women's discussion here, I always like to give Vic Joseph props I can, because the man's getting just so skilled at one-liners. When everything broke down tonight into that brawl, Booker T got out of the ring lickety-split, and Vic Joseph just shouts, "I haven't seen Book move that quick since 2005.
I laughed so hard at that line. That was so good.
Like it was good. It was good.
Well, I guess speaking of Vic Joseph, I did want to bring up that one thing that occurred during the commercial break on NXT today. A very interesting angle that they're running.
I think that of course I didn't see anything if it happened in picture in picture like it is on USA.
No, this didn't air on air at all. I haven't actually seen that. I heard about it, but I haven't actually seen anything from it yet.
Yeah, there's actually fan footage because it happened during the full-on ad break. So there's no picture in picture. So it's two videos. First, Brooks Jensen appears during the NXT break and he starts screaming at Vic Joseph here. We'll show that now.
Get up, Jim!
Yeah, Jim.
Hey, get him, Jim.
That is one angry released man. So immediately after that, he ran, as one does, he went to his car and he cut a promo into his phone. We'll watch that. We'll watch that next.
I just want to know why. Why, of all people in the Performance Center, me. For 3 years, I've busted my tail. I said, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I've done all the right things to make it to the top, but for some reason, they just don't see it in me. And when I try to voice my opinion, when I try to ask the questions of why, instead of sitting back and taking it, they throw me out of the building. You know what the best thing about this is now? I can go anywhere I want. Who knows? Maybe I can make an impact.
Well, that's okay. So that would make sense. I think then maybe we can look to see Brooks Jensen pop up in TNA. So are we going to see regular talent exchanges here with NXT TNA?
Okay, so are we thinking that Brooks Jensen getting released was a work then?
Well,
because I mean that's what he was talking about. Like he got fired.
I'll tell you this much, CJ. I'll tell you this much. people have been literally shot for being on the WWE PC premises without permission. I don't think Brooks Jensen gets to make it to that far into the building without a bullet in his stomach. If he wasn't working, if he
Wait.
wasn't still employed.
John, who got shot?
Fair.
It was a strange. It was a freaking stalker, and I think he went back like after he got shot too. Dude is insane. Dude,
Yeah, I think I remember.
you can look that up. That's absolute nut job. But yes, they will shoot you on sight.
So if that's the case, then I really gotta give it to Brooks Jensen. Like, this is not a promo that I would have expected him to be able to give. Like, something that raw, something that it felt genuine. So that's kind of why I thought that he might have actually just found his way back into the building, like they didn't deactivate his card like they thought they did or something. And then because he is talent and WWE doesn't really formally acknowledge their releases anymore, he might have been able to err on the side of caution, or people would have been more likely to give him the benefit of the doubt and being like, oh yeah, they're probably just running an angle. And then it might have taken someone being like, no, he's not actually hired here anymore. Like, go get him out. And
That would
I'm
be
not,
so much cooler. Actually, that would be so
I
much
recognize that this is so outlandish and far-fetched that I highly doubt that it's legit, but there is that sliver of possibility that he and it very well could be that he does end up signing with TNA. If he shows up in TNA, then it was a work. If he shows up, because I can't imagine WWE would want one of their newest partners going into business with a guy that they fired and broke into his old business. Like, so that, yeah, if he does actually show up in TNA, for sure it's a work.
Yeah.
If it wasn't a work, that'd be like some legendary shit. Right? He would go down in history. He'd be like Brian Pillman or something. Brooks
Right?
Jensen should be in the Hall of Fame if he legit went in there and advertised his next appearance through WWE like that. That reminds me of Enzo actually trying something like that at that Survivor Series. He just kind of stood up in the audience and tried to take all the attention for himself after he got fired. I wonder if there's
and then they cut to a different camera like immediately while he got escorted out of the building. And I thought about that too. I was like, it's like when Enzo tried it, but it might actually drum up some shit.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good promo from him. I didn't know he had that in him. And if this has just all been, a work as part of kind of like, now the intermingling of NXT and TNA, bravo. Good job, guys. Good job. Like, I want to believe it's a work. I really do. And I think he's going to be in TNA soon. I think that's the way they're going here. It's very deliberate wording. But like, man, that's a hell of a way to go about it. And just another week of fun, solid storytelling there.
If it is actually not a work, then I hope Brooks Jensen isn't in a dark place. And, like if he is, that he gets the help he needs. But this might be the one thing that I was really most concerned about with this new Uncle Howdy Bray Wyatt angle is because it was so it had Bray's fingerprints all over it. It felt like it wouldn't be good to continue on with it. But they've done this great sort of underlying storytelling with all these promos, even when Bray was coming back, that slowly but surely I feel like we're seeing this in NXT. If this is a work, they very briefly mentioned it when we came back from commercial. And of course, I had no idea what they were talking about. They didn't do picture-in-picture for you guys, so you wouldn't have any idea what they were talking about either. And the only reason that we know about it before video starts circulating is because they made the absolute smallest reference to it before they cut away. And it's a blink if you miss it moment that we've been seeing more and more of on the main roster. So that part of what makes me think it's a work, but it could have also been a slip of the tongue from Vic and Booker, because I mean, obviously last week's almost AEW reference, that one was planned. But if this was a genuine slip, then that's the only way we would have known about it before the footage leaked.
Right. But
Well, not leaked, but got posted.
Right. It's cool. It's if like I say, it's certainly an intriguing angle. Like if they're making me interested in Brooks Jensen. So bravo there.
How the fuck does Shawn Michaels keep getting away with this amazing character rehab center that is NXT?
Hick and bottom high, man. It's all those classes they got him going at. But,
I guess so. It has to be. Shout out to Matt Bloom and the rest of the PC staff that managed to make a cameo this week. We'll talk about it later on, but just when we're talking about the classes that they take, that's the thing that popped into my head.
Now, talking about good character rehab and work to questionable character work. Backstage, we had Charlie Dempsey speaking to himself in the mirror, taxi driver. You talking to me, you talking to me.
A la Batista in 2005.
Right, where it's kind of history to
it was the line, man.
It's something. He's lost his damn mind. Now, as discussed, this could all be part of the strange hold that the Heritage Cup has on people, and how despondent and odd they get when they lose that connection to the cup. Because he's been a few weeks now just tumbling down this spiral. But what do you think of the segment here?
Is that a spray tan?
It looks like a spray tan.
Like, I don't know if it's just because they are in a weirdly lit environment and he's got a dark colored shirt on, but it feels like he went out and got a spray tan, because there's no way that's a genuine Florida tan. Like, he was pale white for the longest time. That has to be fake.
He's William Regal's son.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a real tan.
I didn't want to say it, but you covered it for me.
These are the facts, I know. People, you can't argue with genetics.
But I mean, even just the fact that it took Damon Kemp coming off to the side and being like, "You think it's weird we're talking into a mirror right now? Like, something is not right in Charlie Dempsey." And
he's
like
troubled.
I mentioned. And like I mentioned earlier tonight, and like we kind of talked about last week, the allure is already starting to affect Tony D'Angelo. And I think we're going to wind up seeing, like the cup giving him new strength and being able to defend it more handily. And I'm here for it. Like, I think it's going to be interesting. It is treading new ground. Like, it is, and we kind of talked a little bit more about the mystical powers, like the Undertaker's urn, but this is so much different from that. Like, it's not like anybody that passed off the urn after touching it turned into Gollum from Lord of the Rings and is like, now I must have it back. Like, that is a higher level of deeper storytelling, and it's interesting. I'm captivated.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's it's an intriguing twist for the I guess mystique of the Heritage Cup. But moving on from one backstage segment to the next before the next match on the card, Thea Hale was doing her hype up routine before her match, and she was informed by her Chase U alums Riley Osborne and Duke Hudson that they would be staying in the back tonight and not going to the ring for her match. It's all because of Rich Holland. They don't really want to be around Rich, so they were gonna chill back there and let the non-Chase U member go out with Chase U, which this of course led to Thea Hale.
They definitely didn't seem to care that Ridge Holland comes out and joins Andre Chase and Thea Hale. While they're very much still within eye line, they should have had a more violent reaction, or at least an angrier one. Or any reaction at all.
Oh, man. Yeah.
The match itself, I thought, was good. I was honestly surprised that that they came through the crowd like the NXT. Like, it made sense coming from the Chase U section, but if they're talking about, you know, not everybody here's Chase U, like, I think that's obviously the way they're going is they're going to leave the school, but, you know, it feels weird that they would have gone through the Chase U section, because then they would have had to have been like there in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not quite
kind
sure.
Of lost the thread there a little bit at the end, but
I'm not quite sure what they're angling at here. Like, I don't know if the goal is going to be to get Ridge accepted and to be part of Chase U, if it's to move Duke and Riley away from Chase U, turn them heel. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it's it's young. The angle's still pretty young, so we'll see what they do with it going forward. But yeah, like you said, the match itself was perfectly fine. Just went about 4.5 minutes. Jasmine Nix picks up the win here with a Pele kick. But yeah, it happened. It was kind of one of the matches that wasn't a lot of the focus tonight, but it did move that story forward a bit.
And the finish kind of surprised me, given, spoiler alert, we see the return of JC Jane later on in the night. And it felt weird that she wouldn't have been ringside to affect the outcome of this match. Like, I get the story that they're telling with Chase U, but JC Jane is still very much tied to Thea Hale right now.
Yeah.
And if she has the opportunity to continue to antagonize her, I'm surprised she didn't take it.
Yeah, agreed. And it seemed kind of odd to get. We'll talk about it when we talk about the main event tonight. But if you were just going to have her kind of come out the way they had her come out tonight, I would have just waited till Sunday.
Yeah, that's true too. That would have also
have her come out and screw Thea
impactful.
out of winning. Like, I mean, that would have made a little more sense. But hey,
wait, does Thea have a match on Sunday?
Isn't she in the? Is she not in the? No, she's not in
match. No,
no. God, I don't know. It's late, guys. It's 11:30 here. No, she doesn't have a match. Then no, she doesn't. So maybe that's.
Well, probably good that she didn't come out on Sunday then. She
yeah,
would have been coming out for nothing.
I don't know why I was thinking that Hale was in that match. Good God. Ugh. Sorry, guys. Sorry. But, yeah, so it still just seemed like an odd way to... Well, that makes it an even more confusing way to go about it then, as there's not a real tie for JC Jane to have been present at that 6-woman tag.
Well, and I mean, if they're trying to use that to position her as the first challenger, then maybe it is going to be Sol Ruca, and she can come in with, a feud where JC still got a busted up face. So if she loses, she can blame it on the busted up face.
True. That would be a good out for her. All right, here going through the notes. All right, so moving through from that, we had we kind of discussed this a little bit earlier, but Ava was speaking with Stone as she and Paige exited, and this is when he kind of got the peek at the contract and kind of went all bug-eyed at it. Yeah, so we discussed this. Not a lot here. It's kind of set up for the main event segment this evening, which saw Ethan Page signing his NXT contract. They then threw to a
Just while we're still talking about this segment, Robert Stone taking on this sort of assistant to the general manager role. How do we feel about that?
I'm
Like,
fine
is
with
it a better use of his time than being a manager for someone else? Like, it felt like he was going to be Dante Chen's manager the
Mhm.
way he brought him back to NXT, but now he's more the assistant type. Do we see this growing into something more, or is that kind of his role now?
I think this is going to be his role for a while going forward. I could see them sliding him back into a more managerial capacity, or even like in this role, part of it could be kind of the spoiler for the heels. Oh, you think you're getting one over? Well, no. Here's who you're fighting tonight. You weren't prepared for this. Kind of that. Almost the Teddy Long.
That sort of Teddy Long back in the
Yeah.
day.
Hold up a minute, playa. Like. Oh, but I swear to God, if he puts anybody 1-on-1 with the Undertaker, I will freak out about that. But no,
There's precedent to Undertaker coming to NXT.
it's true. But no, I think it's a perfectly fine role for him right now, and it'll kind of give someone for Ava to play off of a little more regularly. So I think it could work for him.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah. But we had then Vic Joseph threw to some video package from earlier in the day. The Good Brothers jumped Axiom and Nathan Fraser at a merchandise trailer.
I saw that footage when it hit the internet, and I I don't know, just something about Gallows and Anderson. Uh I just I don't know. Just
They
doesn't I get the story that they're telling with the whole we're NXT and down with main roster, and like that's the heel characters that they're building. I just feel like they are gonna be uh caught up with AJ Styles and like having a proper main event spot. If they weren't doing anything on SmackDown, that would have been one thing, but they need to, and with any luck, after Battleground, they will go back to the main roster full time.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think they were just kind of there maybe a little bit longer than they had planned. I, at one point in time, thought they might even put the NXT tag titles on them. Now, I definitely don't think that's the direction they're going to go. I think it's just there to have a good, strong win for Axiom and Fraser. They did edit the footage when they played it on NXT, though. They edited the audio. The footage that we saw online from this afternoon, the crowd was chanting "Too Sweet."
And they didn't have that in the
At least
final edit. They just had
they just had him kicking
uh
the crap out of him and the people kind of reacting. But yeah, because that was kind of my comment on it was, why are they chanting "This isn't too sweet, it's assault, call the cops, this is not okay." Like, so they can kind of edit that probably because it would have made the OC look good, getting that
yeah, exactly.
reaction. But yeah, God, NXT really going hard with the we're building stuff through social media right now, but it's working for them. But that's going to take us back.
Now, and of course, just before we move on, this just adds one more place to the growing list of areas at the performance center where it's an unsafe working environment.
Yeah, it's there are becoming fewer and fewer places in that got the entire area and campus that are even safe. They need to get better security. I don't know really what they can do to get a handle on the situation, but it's getting bad. It's getting bad.
I hope nobody from OSHA is watching this stream.
Same. I don't want to screw things up for him because I would not want to be responsible for NXT getting fined or any sort of trouble with governmental authorities. But
what I would love though is if this turned into a kayfabe news article where NXT just gets forced to close because of all the OSHA violations.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. I mean, sad if it actually happened, but as a
I'd pop so hard. Like even just like the stupid idea that I sent you for the twins meme.
Yes.
Like I saw the finished product when you sent it to me and I was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome." Like that's exactly what I had pictured. And I would pop so much harder if
kayfabe news could pick that up.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Oh, fantastic. But back in the building, we had Briggs making his way out to the ring, and they said something was happening in the back. Got a camera back there. And he was laid out by Shawn Spears. And very quickly appearing behind Shawn Spears was the young OG Javon Evans. He told Javon Evans not to try anything, but then Javon told him to try it with him, and the two brawled out to the ring. Had a pretty lengthy brawl. I thought it was going to be turned into a match. It was not at this point. But they had a back and forth brawl, pulled apart, continued to brawl, basically went until Javon Evans got the upper hand. And then the heel kind of turned tail and ran. CJ, what do you think of the brawl and what this will inevitably lead to?
Well, I mean, obviously it's going to inevitably lead to a match. Whether they do it next week on NXT or, somewhere down the road. Obviously not Battleground because that feels pretty set in stone right now. But, there's still 5 days to go. Maybe they add it anyways. But I think, we're going to wind up seeing Javon Evans versus Shawn Spears. I don't know what they're doing with Josh Briggs. I can't for the life of me figure out why they give him this package of who is Josh Briggs, and then Shawn Spears gets to throw that back in his face, and then he gets jumped before their match. They're not giving this guy anything to work with. No. So there needs to be something. And I thought that this who is Josh Briggs was gonna be, clean slate and, work with Josh Briggs to be the best Josh Briggs. But then he can't even have his scheduled match because fucking Ty Dillinger jumps him in fucking Gorilla. Like it's so dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if maybe he's got some sort of minor injury or something that he's working through, and they're just trying to keep him in a story, but not in the ring. I don't know.
If he was injured, then they shouldn't have hyped his return. If they weren't ready to put him in the ring, then they should have just left him on the shelf and hype him back when he's ready to come back.
Yeah, agreed. Because it's not a good look for him at all. It's a very rough spot for him to be in for his character. It makes him look bad.
It really does. But what will make you smell good is monk.com, where you can get organic handheld essential oil diffusers. Use promo code DSR10 for 10% off your order.
10%, Molly. 10%. She was hyped for that as she chews on kibble over here in the corner with me.
Well, as long as she's not chewing on a monk diffuser,
that would be bad. That would be bad. Hey, we've got 4 dogs and 4 cats and a leopard gecko. So monk diffusers absolutely can assist with the number of litter boxes that are in this house. But going on to things that don't need diffusing or scent added, we had the dawn of NXT and Heritage Cup champion Tony D'Angelo with the family defending the cup against Damon Kemp of the No Quarter Catch crew. Tony D'Angelo picks up the win here. CJ, what'd you think of the match and the continued reign of NXT's Dawn?
Okay, so right here, just while we're still on this screenshot, the Joe Hendry signs in the background. They've said his name. He must appear because we believe in Joe Hendry. I had to set my microphone down in order to clap.
Fair enough. You don't want to clap with the mic in hand. Sorry, Mo. I didn't mean to.
No, exactly, because then it's just like awkward feedback and, not good noises. The match itself I thought this was a great match. I mean, it's definitely what we've come to expect from Tony D'Angelo and Damon Kemp at this point. The story that they're telling is obviously the hook, but if we're talking about a great example of a Heritage Cup rules match, I'd say this is it. It's, if for no other reason than I think this is the first time we've seen someone pull a screech and be saved by the bell.
Yeah, it really was. It was 1-2-0 hit. Really well timed spot too. I gotta give props on that. Anytime you're playing with a live timer, and a spot is planned around that, it takes precision to make that work, and they made that work.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with this, and solid match.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I wouldn't have thought that Tony D'Angelo had this in him 6 or 7 months ago.
No, like the version of Tony D'Angelo that is
came out of that NXT championship match.
Yeah, like he's the one that's more Italian stereotype than actual Dawn is not the version of Tony D'Angelo I would have expected to be pulling out this type of match. But since Stand and Deliver, he's been it just feels like he's leveled up, which, I mean, it's an adventure for sure when you level up, but I think that's exactly what Tony D'Angelo has done. He has done his own NXT level up adventure.
That he has. And like I said, I did not see this in him when he was going into that NXT title match. It felt like filler. It just felt like filler. And I think he really stepped up going into that. I don't know if management saw this in him going into that or if they saw this as a result of that. But I
have to imagine it was because they had that faith in him for sure.
I mean, I absolutely, with some augmentation to how this gimmick works, I could see him on the main roster now. And I did not see him as a main roster talent 6 months ago.
I don't necessarily agree that he's ready right now.
Oh, not ready. I see him being able to achieve that now. Yeah. No, not at this exact moment. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's still work to be done there. But like I'm saying, like 6 months ago, I wouldn't have thought there was any chance of him making it to the main roster. I just did not.
No, and that's fair.
Yeah. But again, this is NXT. This is developmental. This is this is what we should be seeing with wrestlers. In NXT is, obviously some people, off the rip that they're going to be, huge and they're going to make it. But like, that's what we should be seeing in here. They're taking talent and forging them and honing them, training them and teaching them to be that next generation. And he's looking better by the week. And he's good with the cup. I like him as the champion. And hey, when he won it, I thought they were going to have him eating spaghetti and meatballs out of it, and they proved me wrong, and I'm very proud of them for that.
Don't give him any ideas. I mean, he still has the cup. That maybe that's how it spreads its power to the rest of the D'Angelo family. They all eat the spaghetti and meatballs out of the cup, and that's what happens.
If VKM were still in charge of things, that would absolutely be happening.
If VKM were still in charge of things, this would feel a lot more racist.
Because it would be spectacularly 100%. Racist. But moving on backstage, just really quickly, we had Ava speaking with Kelly Kincaid, and this was the first time tonight that we heard Trick Williams basically tell Ava just to give Ethan Page whatever he wants, because Trick wants his revenge. So, and again, that just kind of pushed the main event angle for this evening. Staying backstage, we had Jordynne Grace walking around there, and she ran into Michin, and they had a little bit of a TNA reunion there with them. And this was kind of just Jordynne Grace interacting with multiple members of the NXT women's roster. She had some interaction with Sol Ruka back there. Jada Parker approached
Ariana Grace,
and then I love that Ariana Grace pointed out, we have the same last name, but we're not related. Like it was great. Like,
I was really hoping that there was going to be some kind of Santino reference, like oh hey, I know you now, I remember you, I work with your dad, something like that. I was kind of hoping they'd give a hint, wink, wink. But we didn't mention this earlier. When they had the Women's North American Summit, I think this might be the first time they've said HBIC on WWE TV. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm going to say it is. I agree. I can't think of an instance where it would have happened before now.
Yeah. And then, seeing the interactions with Jordynne Grace and basically speed running the rest of the women's locker room, I think that there's a lot of possibilities with this TNA NXT crossover, and I'm excited. I think this is going to be like a pivotal moment in wrestling history in and of its, like WWE pairing with anybody. Like I realize that they had a talent share with ECW in the 90s, but it was the 90s. But I don't think that holds a candle to what the possibilities are with someone who they had the Monday Night War with for a while.
Right.
So and honestly, it was that Monday Night War that I think really led to Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart reconciling.
Yeah, it was. I think that was the January 4th show that year was when they went head to head, and that was had to have been the primary reason they pushed that reconciliation with Shawn and Bret for that night. But it's an interesting trail that these companies have walked to get to this point. Now, this did perhaps lean towards a reveal of who Jordynne Grace's challenger will be for her open challenge. As everything went on with this segment, they were approached by Tatum Paxley, and Tatum took a liking to the Knockouts Championship.
And that seems to be the trend for this new character that she's been playing.
She's a raccoon. She likes shiny things.
I was going to say crow, but that was already taken by Lyra Valkyria. So, raccoon works. But no, she had that whole, the title speaks to me, like that sort of when she was challenging for the NXT women's title. And then it kind of grew with her in the running for the women's North American title. And now that she's made contact with the Knockouts championship, yeah, I see that as a natural storytelling progression to get her on that open challenge.
Agreed. All
Now,
right.
is she at the point though where she feels like or it feels like the TNA crowd is going to have that strong of a reaction for her? Because I mean, the NXT crowd lost their damn minds when Jordynne Grace came out. Is Tatum Paxley at a level where the TNA crowd is going to have obviously not as strong of a reaction, but a strong enough reaction that is going to justify her being there?
I honestly don't think so. But I don't really know what the overlap with the audience is there. You know, like obviously, like we pay attention and watch TNA, but you know, it's a little bit different for us. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how far in the other direction that goes for your core TNA Impact audience. I mean,
Unless there is a significant overlap of people that watch NXT and people that watch TNA before I'd say even before the Royal Rumble, where Jordynne Grace was in the match. I think if you were watching TNA even up to that point, and that's where you started from, then you're invested enough in TNA. And even if you started watching NXT at that time, because you're like, oh, well, yeah, why not kind of thing,
right?
then you would be invested enough in Tatum Paxley to have that kind of reaction as well. Hopefully.
Hopefully. And again, this could even be a red herring. It might not even be Tatum. It just seems to be the way they're leaning there.
Yeah.
But moving on from that segment, we had a in-depth look into the Lola Vice Shayna Baszler conflict, which will be concluded in NXT Underground this Sunday night. This was a pretty rad video package.
Absolutely. It really helps showcase exactly what both Shayna and Lola are capable of in that NXT Underground environment. So I was already looking forward to this match. Even though, like we talked about, the concept itself is on the brink of kind of overuse at the moment, but I think it still really keeps me invested in this match, and I look forward to seeing it.
Yep. Same. It was a great hype package. They'll probably show it again Sunday. If you didn't see it tonight, I would look for them to show it again Sunday. It was one of those hype videos that it'd be too good for them not to use it more than once.
Oh yeah.
But that's going to take us into our next match of the night. We had Izzy Dame originally scheduled to take on Carmen Petrovic, but Carmen was hurt apparently over the weekend. So her good friend, the Boat, Natalia, took her place in this match. Izzy Dame, I had new entrance theme tonight. It wasn't good, but she had a new entrance theme.
Well, wasn't she using wasn't she basically just coming out to JC Jane's music until she got injured? I didn't realize she had music of her own before.
I thought she did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's why I was thinking it was new, just because she was coming up to someone else's. But it wasn't good.
Def Rebel. I mean, you get what you get.
That's true. But Natalia picks up the win here in just about 4 minutes. And again, after the match, as Natty did last night, said into the camera, enough is enough and it's time for a change. So I'm not quite sure what that change is going to be. Maybe Natty's going to go to TNA for a little stint.
Could be. Maybe. Oh, that would certainly get the reaction we were talking about with if Tatum Paxley went.
Oh,
So
that guitar riff
Natalia,
would hit. Oh, her and Jordan Grace.
oh, like that would blow the roof off whatever arena TNA's in.
Yeah.
And I use that term loosely, arena, because I know they draw about the same amount of people as the Performance Center.
Right,
And yeah, like I don't say that derogatorily either. It's just a reality of the situation. They just book smaller venues. But no, like that would be I honestly, if it is Tatum Paxley and not Natalia, I kind of might be a little bit more bummed.
Yeah, I think because Natty would get that reaction. That guitar riff hits, like, that'd be a good pop. And again, like she's in, it would play into what WWE really seems to like to do right now, which is kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say orchestrating media buzz around their talent contracts running up. Because it's just like every week, it's like so-and-so's contract is up within a couple weeks or a month. So-and-so's contract is out this Friday. You're not going to let that happen over and over and over again, especially when you're involving people in major storylines like Chad Gable. So that's how they're going to play this. It's like, well, she's, leaving for TNA. Like, it'd be good. It could be a good angle for her.
Is that something that oh, crap, I had something and then it just completely emptied my mind. Like, yeah, no, fucking lost it again.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, while we're waiting for it, backstage again, they showed Axiom and Nathan Frazier. I think they were leaving because they had talked about how the OC's match was canceled due to the attack. And so they were kind of keeping them separate. But they're just hyping the match for this Sunday. And, just a little quick promo work for them. Like we said earlier, I fully expect Axiom and Nathan Frazier to retain the tag titles this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. But going on, we had Tyreek and Tyson make their entrance, getting prepared for some tag team action tonight. Unfortunately, tag team action would not be coming their way. Just a Gallus beatdown during the commercial break, as shown when they came back from the break. And then Gallus cut a pretty seething promo on NXT and the state of affairs there, saying that maybe they'd have more respect and admiration if they were on TikTok and shaking their asses. I
would respect all three of those men so much if they just started twerking on TikTok.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Let's get Sexyy Red to manage Gallus.
Oh, God. Could you imagine?
Oh, you know what? Real quick, too. Before
Gallus Green turns to red and...
Sexy Green. She can be Sexy Green. It would work out. And it is worth mentioning, too, real quick, too, that Sexyy Red did get a mention on air tonight as Ava got a phone call on her cell and said, "It's Sexyy Red, I have to go." So they are keeping her in the mention, as she will be hosting Battleground this weekend as well. But yeah, so
what?
Gallus.
What the fuck? What?
All right.
I don't know.
That might be hard to unsee. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm like, the only Dustin Diamond that I can think of is literally like Saved by the Bell Screech. I never paid attention to him in his adulthood.
Did you see him when he was boxing?
No.
I'm not kidding, dude. He boxed for a while. Yeah, he grew a goatee and beard. Like, he was actually pretty good at boxing.
Geez.
Rest in peace.
That's incredible. Oh, he died. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, I forgot. Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, I want to say he might have boxed Danny Bonaducci at one point. I'm not sure if he
That
fought
sounds like
Bonaducci or not,
something
but
that both Dustin Diamond and Danny Bonaducci would do.
yeah. Bonaducci likes to punch folks anyway, so
Didn't he get canceled for something? Like, I
I'm
feel like I
sure
haven't seen him in anything in a while.
I'm sure the former Partridge family member did in fact get canceled for something. But yeah, good promo from Gallus. I thought it did some good character work for them. Kind of reminded some of the general audience what they are all about, and it hyped the NXT North American Men's title match this weekend. CJ, what do you think of the promo and what it led to in hyping that match?
Well, first of all, I fucking hate it when they do shit during the commercial breaks. And like they did this a few times tonight. Not even talking about the Brooks Jensen thing. Like there were multiple times where it's like, "Oh, and this happened during the commercial break." I'm pissed. Like even if you're not if you just don't do picture in picture, then don't have shit happen during the commercial break.
Well, now I will say, as far as I know, and I usually do make note of the pip and whatnot when they use it. They didn't show that attack during the commercial here either.
No,
It just
and the way Vic Joseph mentioned it too, like that I got the um the impression that they didn't have picture in picture, which makes sense. I mean, why would they have picture in picture for what should be a normal, following a tag team entrance? You're just waiting on the other guy to come in after the commercial break. Um, but fuck, like I hate it. That's all I can really say about it. I
yeah,
hate when they do
it's
that shit.
and that is absolutely fair. It as a valid complaint to make. But it was a good promo though. But yeah, they could have had the attack happen on air. It could have just been, Tyson and Tyreek finishing their entrance and getting jumped. I don't know. It didn't really even save much time when you think about it because they still showed the attack. So it's
Well,
not an issue of
exactly.
saving time. So I don't really know why you would go about doing it that route, except to kind of add that, little extra layer of anything can happen at any time realism. But I'd rather just see it as it happens.
Oh, exactly. Maybe that'll change when everything moves to Netflix, which thankfully, because I'm Canadian, that's the case for me in January. So shout out Sportsnet, but we're done. Like December is gonna be a very exciting time. And they did reference CW in Ethan Page's promo too. Like they're gearing up
Yeah, already.
for these big changes. So I think we're gonna see even more new things and less sort of worn into the ground things across all three brands. I'm excited.
Yeah, agreed. Now, as I said, this did get some hype for that title match this weekend. This, of course, brought out Obafemi, and then in short order, Wesley, leading to a brief brawl before everything settled back down in preparation for this weekend's match. Do you look for Oba to retain that championship?
I feel like it's definitely not gonna be Gallus,
Mm-hmm.
because they really hammered in that, oh, it's triple threat rules, anything can happen. Like it feels like they set it up too much for them to actually be able to follow through with it in a way that just doesn't absolutely bury Wesley and Obafemi. So and yeah, I feel like the chase again is gonna be more beneficial for Wesley at this point.
Right.
So I give it to Obafemi. Now, this promo, this whole segment, um, didn't really do much for me to build even further anticipation. Again, because they hit so hard on the Gallus can interfere at any time and, had Gallus standing tall. I know
Right.
that's not what's going to happen. So it kind of took me out of the moment a little bit, but yeah, that's my only gripe with this segment. Otherwise, still very excited for this match, and it didn't hamper my excitement for it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Right on, right on. All right, and that took us to a quick little vignette where we've seen again the pajama-clad wrestler turning on the lights, and yeah, as I said on the Book of Face, next week Wendy Chu is evil.
She overslept.
Yeah, yeah. The glass shattered. She shattered. Is she stone cold Wendy Chu? Like this is.
I feel like she would have been less eye makeup and more middle fingers if she was stone cold Wendy Chu, but I do think this is going to be like like she woke up from a bad dream, like that's going to be the angle they take with it. And
right.
I think if it'll work, then or if it doesn't work, then I think they're just gonna do a 180 and be like, oh, she woke up from a good dream again.
Right. Yeah, it was a jarring display there, but yeah, she'll be back next week. Crowd's hype. I'll say the internet's pretty excited. So,
what do you think about Wendy Chu as a heel? Like, is that something that you think is going to work, or even was that a realm of possibility in your mind?
You kind of your audio blip there. Can you repeat the question?
So, like, do you think a Wendy Chu heel run is plausible, or even something that you'd thought of in the realm of possibility at all?
I wouldn't have thought it. I wouldn't have thought that'd be a direction they would have go with this character, because it's such like it's a colorful, fun gimmick. It's one of those things we even talked about. Is it something that would only get over at NXT?
Yes. And does NXT have a problem with creating gimmicks that will only work in NXT? But that's a much larger question. Let's talk about Wendy Chu.
And I actually would like to put a pin in that. That's a discussion I'd like to have down the road. Not tonight, as the hour is already getting late. But that is something I think warrants a longer discussion. Yeah, I'm gonna actually make note of that right there, because I would like to have a discussion about that. But I would have thought her going heel would have been something they would even try. But I'm interested to see what they do with it, if they can kind of take that cutesy sleepy character and do something a little more sinister with it. I'm here to see what they do. I definitely will obviously tune in to see where they go. But going to
just talking about the cutesy character taking on a heel, like a super hard heel persona, I think the only thing coming to mind for me is Alexa Bliss, and I'm still not 100% on board with it, even in retrospect. So is there an instance that stands out to you where that worked?
A cute character that functioned well as a heel. I really can't, because it would only get a negative reaction, I think, because it would come across as just annoying. Like when they've tried a cutesy gimmick to get a heel reaction, it's more of a go away heat. My mind goes back to something like, and again, they went into a much more adult place with it, but Beaver Cleavage. If y'all want to look that one up, one half of the Headbangers, they tried to retool into this character as kind of a 1950s, Leave It to Beaver-esque character with an adult spin to it, and it was bad. It didn't work. They did it for like 2 weeks and dropped it. But I'm racking my brain now trying to think of a cutesy character that went bad, and I can't think of an instance where it worked. Just because there's never been an instance that it worked in doesn't mean there can't be. It just means it would definitely be an uphill battle for it.
Well, that's also very true. And I think if anybody has the potential to do it, it's Wendy Chu.
Yeah. But yeah, all the faith in the world in what they do down there. So I generally try to give, angles and, character work at least a few weeks just to see where they're going to go with it. But be interested to see what they do. But hopping from vignette to live backstage, Sarah Schreiber was interviewing, I think I had her last name right there, was interviewing Lexis King regarding the Dante Chen conflict he has been in. And he just ran Dante Chen down. And then Chen attacked, and the two brawled as they were followed by the camera backstage until they were pulled apart. When they were pulled apart, this was, talking about like catching people in the background. Norman Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Smiley was back there. I love seeing. I'm sorry, I mispronounced his name. Norman S. Smiley. I don't want to upset the man. But
there was the I'm blanking on his name right now. His daughter's in TNA, and Robbie, was that Robbie Taylor?
Yes, yeah.
I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Yep. Hank and Tank were back there. Sorry.
I didn't even see Hank and Tank.
Yeah. Hank and Tank were back there during the pull apart. The part that's because I was pulling pictures tonight, screenshots for updates and whatnot. So I kind of looked at that shot a little more in depth. But yeah, it was. I
saw the sea of like PC recruits.
It was good. It was a good brawl, good pull apart. And they announced, I'm not sure when in line with the rest of the show, the announcement actually came out, but they did announce that they will be having a Singapore cane match.
Which, I mean, as far as an effective use of Lexis King goes, I'd say they found it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to really invest some stock in Dante Chen. They've done that in spades right now. And I'm just based on their brawl tonight, I'm super excited for this match.
Yeah.
And it feels like for the first time since he debuted that I'm excited for something that Lexis King's involved in.
Other than just his really rad entrance. But no, this was good.
Still one of the slickest entrances in the company right now.
It looks great. Again, his look overall is really good, but this has been the most compelling feud he's had since he's been in NXT. And it's good. I look forward to the match.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
But that is going to take us to tonight's main event match. A little bit of a 6-woman exhibition ahead of this weekend's show. So we had Lash Legend teaming with Kalani Jordan and Fallon Henley taking on Mi Chen, Jada Parker, and Sol Ruca. As we did discuss a little bit earlier in the night, Sol Ruca was the one picking up the win for her team tonight. Just under 10 minutes with one hell of a soul snatcher, just pretty much out of nowhere. But pretty solid match work. Just kind of furthered a lot of the individual conflicts and stories going into that ladder match this weekend. But CJ, what did you think of tonight's main event match?
Absolutely fantastic match. And it really goes to show that they are taking the Women's North American title seriously by picking out a field of contenders that could bring us this phenomenal match. Everyone here really told their story and, got the chance to speak out for themselves in the segment earlier. And then coming into this match, everybody still got their spot.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for them pushing Sol Ruca, or seemingly pushing Sol Ruca, I would say it's a fairly even playing field as far as who the most likely contenders are to win the match. Everybody looked like they could win on Sunday.
Yeah. I agree. And there was a lot of just really good individual, a lot of good individual storytelling here. amongst the women in the match. And there's a lot going on here, and they're balancing it well. You know, we talk about things that NXT does a really good job with. Multi-competitor matches is one of those things that they excel with. And I'm not one that's typically a proponent for multiple person matches. I'd rather have that one-on-one. For something like this, you need it. The field is large. They're taking it very seriously, which is good. If you're going to make a new title, put as much effort you can behind it. You know, make it as worthwhile as you can. It's a new championship. There's no lineage here. Make it as big a deal as possible right out of the gate. And they're doing a really good job with that. And they've just really kind of mirrored the same path that the men's North American title took as well. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a match Sunday.
And they made that reference on commentary tonight, talking about that first ladder match and the standard it's set. So I'm glad they're doing right in that mindset for the women's North American Championship as well.
Yeah, and you know, that's a fair thing. That's a fair point, because like I said a second ago, like there's no real lineage here, but they are kind of piggybacking off of the, albeit brief, but the existent heritage and clout that the men's North American Championship has. So good on them for that. Good on them. But yeah, solid match. And then I think the other than the main event segment, the only major thing of note that took place after the 6-woman tag was the video package hyping a return that I'm sure that you're pretty excited about, CJ.
I'm glad we're taking the time to talk about this.
Yeah, great hype video for Eddie Thorpe.
I cannot wait for him to be able to come back. Whatever they end up doing with him, I am excited and on board for. I'm worried now that he might be more injury prone. So I'm hoping that he's able to capitalize on this opportunity and make it really work for him. Whether that's working differently or just working a little bit more diligently, I think he's got tremendous upside. And if they give him the ball, he is going to run with it.
Yeah, absolutely agree, man. They put a lot of effort into the video, and they don't do that lightly. They obviously have a lot of care that goes into these vignettes and packages, and they're not going to waste time on someone that they don't, see it in. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Did they give? It wasn't like a next week thing. It's just still a general coming soon kind of angle, right?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a date or anything, so it might be next week. But also I don't think they'd want to overshadow Wendy Chu's return. Let that have its own moment. Eddie Thorpe's return can have its own moment. So it could be a little ways down the line yet, but I'm definitely anticipating.
And and this could be a thing where we maybe have a short series of return videos for him. Maybe next week we'll get another short video package or something to that effect. But you're really looking forward to his return,
because they've been slow burning Wendy Chu's return for quite a while.
Oh, it's been about a month.
Yeah. Now. Oh God, longer than that. I'd say definitely closer to 2.
The original snoring videos were just like a black screen and snoring.
Yeah. And then, 3 weeks in, we hear the alarm go off, and that's when I thought that Wendy was gonna return. I wasn't anticipating them to turn the camera on and add more than audio.
Yeah, so they, the slow burn is becoming a hallmark of their storytelling, so I'm not going to complain.
As long as it doesn't achieve Veer Mahan levels, then we're good.
Veer Mahan, or where the fuck is Odyssey Jones? As long as we don't get to...
Or
Dijak, where the fuck is Dijak?
Emmalina.
Emma. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
That, even just as far as usefulness goes, you literally hype her up and then revert her back the same week. What the fuck?
Oh man, that was bad. That was just terrible.
Just terrible. Like,
But
just awful.
now uh, God, I hadn't thought about that. I'm trying to remember what the reason was they pulled the plug on that gimmick, other than it just being really bad or not being able to pull. That was it. They realized she
It was
couldn't
just
do
bad.
it. Yeah, they realized she couldn't pull the gimmick off. They're like, "Fuck it, we're just gonna pull the plug and send you back to what you were." But it didn't work, and that was after they brought her back after her first release too. So that was.
Mhm.
But CJ, man, anything else on tonight's show before we hop into our jobber of the night?
Well, just that we got a little bit more business to take care of, so we might as well clean that up. Of course, if you're unable to watch live and you want to catch us on demand, we have all our socials, but we're also on the Delphin Pod Network, everywhere their podcasts are found, and you can check us out there, again, comicbookclick.com as well. You also catch the Major Issues Show every single Thursday and the
Every
Cold Case
Thursday.
Project on YouTube. And of course, we've got the Shopify store, DSR. Lots of cool swag there. Not just wrestling, but other pop culture items as well. So be sure to check that out.
Right on, right on. Plugs being said, we will now segue smoothly and efficiently into tonight's NXT Jobbers of the Night. Oh man, CJ, I think a lot of folks might be able to see this one coming, and I'm trying to think if I've chosen the same individual recently, but man, my jobber of the night tonight is one Joshua Briggs.
That is a solid jobber of the night.
As discussed, I don't know what they're doing with his character. It has been the most stutter start I've seen for someone in a long time. The push and pull is just, it's damaging at this point. You know, one week you think they're putting a lot behind him, and the next week he's barely on TV getting jumped backstage by Sean Spears Dillinger, the imperfect 10. I'm hoping that's going to catch on, by the way. I'm going to try to trademark that one. But yeah, it's not a good look for him. You know, the vignettes are good, but I don't know who Joshua Briggs is. You know, like you said, they had Ty throw that back in his face tonight. I don't know who he is. And they need to figure it out.
Like, ever since the breakup of his tag team, I can't say he was good when he was challenging for the North American title, but really since then, and even since the breakup, I can't say I've really gotten to anywhere close to invested enough to care.
No, his character has just been kind of all over the place, which, I mean, is and isn't his fault. You know, you can only do what you can only, use what you're given, but, you can make the most out of a bad situation sometimes and still make it passable. But yeah, his character's just been all over the place. I don't know who he is really. I can't really even definitively tell you if he's a face or a heel.
No, and like you think because he's in a feud now with Sean Spears that he's going to be the face. Well, he was just a heel 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He was a face 20 minutes before that, and he was a heel half an hour ago. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest, like, I'm not someone that's a big proponent of the idea of tweeners typically either. I think there are instances, very few instances where it can work, but typically I feel like if you're a true tweener, you're undercutting a face that you're going against, and you're undercutting heels that you go against. It doesn't benefit anybody in the long run.
Exactly.
But yeah, I don't really know what his character is right now, and like I said, like the matches he was having for the North American title were good. He's good in the ring, but that can't be. That's not his character. It's not like I'm Josh Briggs and I have good hard hitting matches. That's not enough. They need to figure it out before he gets damaged to the point that they have to take him off TV for half a year. And
if it wasn't for the fact that Brooks Jensen all of a sudden became interesting tonight, I would have said just reunite their tag team. Let them do their thing. It was working.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, they're getting just in my opinion, they're starting to skirt real close to that line of this not being able to be fixed. And I like him in ring, and I think he's got a good base of character work, but they got to figure out who he is and just get him on a good path. But yeah. So Joshua Briggs is my jobber of the night. CJ, who do you got?
Well, you made a real compelling argument. So I think there's not really much I could say if I went with Josh Briggs. So I'm going to go with Stevie Turner instead. Last week she managed to talk herself into this match. And granted, she did put up a much better showing than I thought she was going to get. But then she still tries to be talking to Ava about it and like trying to set herself up for easy stuff, which a very heelish thing to do, but everything in a combination just doesn't really work for in a good way for her. So I think if they keep her down this road, it's really not going to work out for her. So she would be my jobber of the night tonight.
All right. Good choice and very solid reasoning there, man. But on to a more positive choice. Our megastars of the night. CJ, my man, who you got as your NXT megastar of the night? I'll be interested to see if the same one I got. Who do you have?
I gotta give it to two people, actually.
Okay.
I'm gonna say one is Sol Ruka.
Mhm.
For all the reasons that we talked about earlier, her getting pushed to the head of the line as far as likely contenders for the North American title, it's hard to ignore, and you really can't deny that they shone a spotlight onto her tonight
Mhm.
and made her the front runner. And even the fact of her on the apron and the crowd's chanting, "We want Soul," like, or "We want Ruka," whichever it was. But it's a pretty clear indication that she's very likely gonna be a champion as of Sunday. So she gets one megastar nod. My other one goes to Ethan Page.
Yeah,
It's
right there.
Yeah. So I went on my spiel. If you want to take it for Ethan Page, go for it, man.
Hey, I mean, we're probably going to say a lot of the same things here. You and I tend to agree on a lot. But, man, that promo was just so good and just so off the cuff. You know, he was playing with the audience so well. And it's like you said, that's not something that you can necessarily even teach. There's just a undeniable charisma there. You know, I don't think they're overly scripting him. I think he is one of those guys that you can just send out there. Here's your bullet points. Have at it. He's getting a fantastic reaction right out of the gate. Not only that, he's getting the reaction he wants to be getting right out of the gate. He's not being cheered. That's hard to combat when you jump over from another company, when you've already got some cachet to your name. It's difficult to make that jump and not be cheered. The man's being booed. Now, granted, maybe it's a little bit easier to get booed against Trick Williams because Trick is so undeniably popular. But I thought the promo was great. I was already an Ethan Page fan. I've been an Ethan Page fan for years. Like I said last week, I literally watched the guy go from putting together rings at Ring of Honor to wrestling there. Like it's fantastic to watch someone just move along that journey. But the promo was great. You know, not a lot of physicality, but I'm okay with saving that for Sunday. But yeah, I thought he just looked like $1 million tonight. He's got that star presentation from the opening of tonight's show to the ending. And that's something else to say too. They clearly are putting a lot behind him. Opening segment, closing segment. He's the bookend tonight. I don't want to take it that way from commentary Booker T, but he was the bookend this evening. But he looked great, and I think he's going to have a very, very bright future in both NXT and eventually the main roster.
I absolutely agree. And Yeah, I don't know what else I could add to that other than go Canada.
That's it. There you go. Go Canada. But yeah, so that is our NXT rewind in a nutshell. Before we hop off tonight, I would like to remind everyone out there that here at Dirt Sheet Radio, we are live and on the air every weeknight. Monday nights for Raw, we are here. Tuesday nights, obviously, you're watching it right now for NXT. Tomorrow night, Wednesday for Dynamite. Thursdays for TNA Impact. And then, of course, Fridays, we have SmackDown. And then coming very soon, we have CJ Tyler's Level Up Adventure. And we also have the 3NT podcast every Sunday. And am I missing one of our shows here?
The flagship every Wednesday night.
Oh my, what time do you do that, man? What time
we do that show at literally 1 a.m. on Wednesday nights. 1 a.m. on 1 a.m. on the East Coast.
Pacific. Yeah. Or East Coast.
Yeah. 1 a.m. on my time would be brutal on Greg and Nick.
All right. So that is it's nonstop, y'all. Like it is. There is more content than you can shake a stick at, as my great.
And especially when you consider we're going to be doing a rewind for Battleground on Sunday.
Oh my God! Yes.
I unfortunately still can't be there because I have to work, but I will absolutely be tuning in to the rewind. So even if I might catch the end of the main event and only be able to really jump in for that, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, he'll be if nothing else, y'all. CJ will be in the comment section for portions of the show.
Oh hell yeah!
Right. So, but yeah, as you can see, run down the card. It's going to be a great show. It did have the time changed. I swear to Giant Gonzalez that it originally was listed as being a 10:30 start time on the East Coast, but it will be the normal East Coast start time of 8 p.m. So it won't go super duper late into the night. But yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a show. Look forward to that and that rewind. But hey, I also want to say a big thank you to everyone watching this live tonight. Everyone that watches this on In Demand. We love doing this for you, and we will see you tomorrow night. And CJ and I will see you next week. Have a great night, everybody.
I will be